So you're watching one of your favorite anime, and the episode ended on the most intense cliffhanger you'd seen. Then you see the preview for the next episode, and it's this weird comedy special with characters from the show, but it clearly doesn't continue from where the last episode left off. What gives? Well, what gives is, it's filler. Filler is defined as an item serving only to fill space or time, especially in a newspaper, broadcast, or recording. In anime, it takes a lot more of a different definition, and you can see this with websites like animefillerlist.com, where they pretty much define filler as basically anything in an anime adaptation that isn't in the manga. I honestly don't agree with this definition, as I feel like it's a bit of a simplification of the term that groups in anime original content that really shouldn't be there. I personally define filler in anime as any episode that doesn't add anything to the main storyline, the characters, the themes, etc., and is just there purely to fill time. Be it as a way to wait for more of the manga to be released, or a means to fill in that extra week in an anime's late night time slot that they have to fill in due to contractual obligations. The reason I define it this way is because I believe that there's a very solid difference between an anime original ending and outright filler. You look at, say, the Karakurizer episodes of Bleach, they're never brought up again, be it in the manga or anime, and they don't really add anything to the show's central narrative. In fact, they interrupt it. How can this be compared to, say, the first Fullmetal Alchemist series, where almost every episode, with the exception of the Phantom Thief, adds something to the main storyline, adds depth to the characters, is all important to the show? That, to me, isn't filler. The series is not waiting for more parts of the manga to come out, it's creating its own storyline, it's doing its own thing. And I think that's a massive difference between the two that needs to be made more clear. Furthermore, I do believe that any medium can have filler, be it anime, manga, light novels, visual novels, movies, etc. If you skip an episode or a chapter or a scene, and nothing of value is lost, regardless of whether it be an adaptation or anime original, it's still filler to me. Now that I've given my own definition of filler, I think it's very important to answer the question of why does filler suck? I mean, there are obvious reasons of it halting the central narrative, but I think there's more to it than that. In particular, when referring to long-running shonen anime, filler can sometimes not look as good as its canon counterparts, mostly because the people working on the production want to get their best talent on the most interesting parts of the show. That being said, even when filler looks good, which it can, the major problem can come less from its visuals and more from its script. One of the big problems that shonen series can face are the derivative nature of filler arcs. Either it's the one-off chibi comedy episodes that aren't particularly funny, or it's the same old cookie-cutter storyline that ends up just being a worse, recycled version of a better canon arc. Oh, we have this mission where we have to protect this guy, but he's kind of a jerk, but on the inside, he's pretty nice. The Land of Waves arc of Naruto is emotional, tense, well-directed, overall a good watch. But who would want to watch a worse version of something they've already seen before? Okay, I stand corrected on that one, but I'll elaborate on that a little later. Another problem that filler can run into is a lack of involvement from the original writer, and that leads the writer to be too caught up in writing their own story while forgetting the spirit of the series they're writing the filler arc for. While not exactly filler, we did see this earlier in the year with Kumamiko, in which the mangaka wasn't really involved with the production of the anime. Because of that, the writer went off and wrote his own ending that many people weren't really satisfied with because it wasn't in the spirit of the series. To give an example of filler that's like that, I was watching one filler arc in Naruto Shippuden that felt more in line with that of a Bleach arc, and needless to say, the plausibility within the context of the Naruto universe was rather lacking. Or even take the Dragon Ball Z movies, for example, as they're infamous for not being able to fit into the DBZ canon. When stuff such as that happens, it takes the viewers out of the experience. Even if it isn't canon within the context of the source material, I'm under the firm belief that it should still make sense and adhere to the rules of the world that the series is set up. Now one may ask, if filler sucks so much, why even make it? Now, filler isn't as prominent as it was years ago, since the practice of making split-core series has become more and more common. But in the case of the older days of anime, filler was created as the anime was catching up with the manga, as a means to space the releases out and give the manga more time to continue the story. It had to be done mostly because anime really couldn't take breaks back then, otherwise it'd risk losing its time slot. And if it lost its time slot, it lost its sponsors, and that basically meant that they would have a hard time continuing the series. Nowadays, anime has a lot of filler because the audiences are still buying into it. I brought up Dragon Ball Super earlier, and that's because when it comes to brands such as Dragon Ball or Naruto that are already proven to be successful, the companies can crap out whatever they please and people will buy into it. Companies want money. Companies need money to continue making anime. And if they continue Naruto for as long as people are interested, they'll keep making money, which in turn can be used to fund other, less profitable products. But here's the kicker when it comes to filler. It doesn't have to suck. I don't believe the word filler in of itself to be a derogatory term. Yes, it doesn't add anything to the central storyline, and it probably won't get brought back up again in any meaningful way, but that doesn't mean it can't be interesting on its own. Take, for example, the G8 arc of One Piece. It's a filler arc, true, but it's actually pretty cool and interesting. Unlike many filler arcs that feel very derivative, this arc had the Straw Hats escape from a Marine base, which the Marines hadn't really been explored upon in the series at that time. Plus, it had its fair share of tense moments, and it was still keeping within the spirit of One Piece as a series. It never gets brought back up again, and at the end of the day, if you skip it, not much is really lost. But as a standalone story, it's a fun time because it did something different. And really, that's all that should be asked of filler arcs. If they can provide a fun time while waiting for the canon aspects of the series to return, then by all means, keep making these arcs. However, a lot of the times they just end up being really weak, boring, and derivative storylines, and that, my friends, is why filler sucks. Thank you for watching. If you liked this video, feel free to give it a like, as well as subscribe if you want to see similar content in the future. If you'd like to chat, Discord link's in the description. And if you haven't already, feel free to check out a similar video I did on this topic titled Adaptations Aren't the Source Material. Link is in the description. Catch you later!